Hi friends, I'm Victoria, and today we have a video that's a little bit different. I am going to talk about books a little bit, but I am mostly just talking about fall and autumn in general, and this is going to be my ultimate fall favorites, spooky season favorites. I'm going to talk about books, I'm going to talk about music, I'm going to talk about snacks and foods and crafts and home goods and things like that, and just really go into all the things that make me excited for fall that I absolutely love, that give me the full fall autumn feelings. I love the season so much, and I wanted to share with you all just some of the things that I do or that I love that make the season just a little bit more magical. I'm new to YouTube, so if you do like this kind of content or book content, which is normally what I do, please subscribe. And if you love fall and you are liking this video, please like and give a thumbs up. I can't wait to get into this list. It's gonna be long. There's gonna be lots of fall things that I want to chat about. So, sit down, get you a snack or like a coffee, a tea, something like that. I have a long list to go through. The first category I'm going to start off with is books. Of course, my favorite. I love reading, and fall is the best time for reading. I think we all agree, we all love it, and we're always looking for those books with the perfect fall feels that will just take us into the season even a little bit more. I'm going to start off with scary books. I'm going to try to run through these since I have so many things to talk about in this video. But first off, we have the Southern Book Club's Guide to Slaying Vampires by Grady Hendrix. We have Southern women that are catty in a book club, and they start to suspect that a new man in town is a vampire, and it's so good. Campy, there's some good gore here, a little bit spooky, the commentary is on point, and I just love this book so much. It was my favorite book of 2022. Next is Slewfoot. I'm sure you have seen this across the interwebs. It's kind of popped off recently on TikTok. It was my favorite book of 2021. I absolutely love this book. It's about a 1600s Puritan village and this woman whose husband has passed away, and she's kind of trying to fight to keep her farm and to prove that she can grow on this farm. And there's a bit of witchiness, fantasy element, but then it really just turns into like a good for her revenge story. And oh my gosh, it's so fantastic. I love it so much, and I highly recommend for the spooky fall feels. Next is one that I just read and I gave it 5 stars. I loved it, and that is The Weight of Blood by Tiffany D. Jackson. This is essentially a Carrie retelling, just updated and revamped for today's time. There's a ton of amazing commentary on race here, and it's a very good intro into horror or YA horror if you're interested in that, and not something that's super scary but still has that creepiness there. I loved it. I can't say enough amazing things about this book. It's a solid one. Please give this a read. I'm sorry about the lighting. I don't know what's happening. The sun is really hitting me right now. But next one is All the Dead Lie Down. This is another YA, but it's like a haunting meets Pet Cemetery in a way, but the atmosphere is amazing. It's on this estate on the water on the Cape, and we have a library on premises, a conservatory, a cemetery, all these things, and I absolutely loved it. There's also a sapphic romance in here, so definitely recommend. Next is The Mary Shelley Club by Goldie Moldavsky. This one is about this group of kids, and they are obsessed with horror movies, and they form this club, and within this club they kind of hold these competitions where they play these pranks, and it's like pranks to scare other people. These pranks just keep escalating and escalating until people start getting hurt. I really enjoyed this. It is YA, but I didn't think it read super YA, honestly, and I love the characters in this, and I enjoyed the ending as well. So as far as like spooky horror, like pranks, getting shocked and surprised about what's going to happen next, I think this is really fun and a good one. Next is A House with Good Bones by T. Kingfisher. This is a cozy horror with a haunting, and it's kind of like a something is wrong with mom story, what's going on with her. It's very short and an easy read. It's not very scary at all. I definitely put this in the cozy horror category, and a really good intro into horror too. Now, Starve Acre by Michael Andrew Hurley is so good. It is haunting. We have this family who have recently lost their son, and they are trying to grapple with grief, and there's a haunting element. The mom has turned to like seances, and then the dad has like become obsessed with like digging in the field, trying to find the roots of this one tree that is like a myth or a legend within the town, and it's like them kind of spiraling and just really trying to get over the grief. The ending is so good. I highly recommend it. Next is episode 13 by Craig DeLuey. This is definitely scary. We have this like ghost hunter show crew, and they are at this location, and they are hoping that they get some good footage to continue on and get rebooted for a second season. And then things really start going down at this place and it starts spiraling for sure, and it goes to another level that I had never anticipated. And it almost reminds me a little bit of As Above, So Below in a way, if you ever watched that movie. This wasn't a perfect book for me, but as far as horror and something different, I really enjoyed it. Now next is Mary by Nat Cassidy. This is also another one of my favorite books that I've read in a long time. Essentially, we have this woman who's grappling with her identity. She's getting older, her life is kind of passing her by, and then she has to go home to take care of a family member that's sick, but things start spiraling. She starts seeing things where like, is she being haunted? Is she having like a mental break? What's going on? And things start to spiral and get worse and worse and worse, and things just get more dire throughout. And it was definitely shocking. The commentary was there. I highly recommend this to anyone, and the cover is so good. Next, I'm going to talk about You're Not Supposed to Die Tonight by Kaylin Bayron. This is a YA slasher horror. You have these teens that are working at this haunted house, like haunted attraction, and it's like full contact, go all the way, sign a waiver kind of haunted attraction. But then people start disappearing and it turns into a bit of a slasher. And it's a really fun time, a short read. I highly recommend it. And I just love the kind of like scream aspect in here with the horror movies and things like that. I really enjoyed it. Now on to books that are not in the horror scary genre. These are just more cozy, perfect for fall. And the first one is Murder Your Employer by Rupert Holmes. Now this is a story about a school that will teach you how to murder someone and get away with it. It's very funny. We follow a few different people within it. Some end up getting away with it and some don't. And it kind of teaches you what they did wrong. And there's a bit of a mystery and a twist at the end that I really enjoyed. And it just lends itself so perfectly to the fall season. And I can't recommend it enough. It's such a good time. Next is The Vermilion Emporium by Jamie Paxton. This is a fantasy. Essentially, we have this shop that kind of just shows up or pops up in places that it's needed, and it's called the Vermilion Emporium. And then we have these two main characters who have stumbled across this book in the shop that teaches them how to weave this really rare substance into lace. And then people are like wanting to know how to do this, and people start going after them. Things get more dire, and it's just kind of like a really haunting fantasy, a little bit dark. And I just love this for the fall season. Next is one that you have to read after Halloween, like between the like November Christmas time. It's perfect for that. It is A Wizard's Guide to Defensive Baking by T. Kingfisher, another one by T. Kingfisher. But this one is essentially about this witch that has these magical powers, but the magical powers only work through like bread and baking. So she can bake these like magical pastries. She's created this like sourdough starter that has a mind of its own kind of thing. And it's so funny. It's a fantasy, so they work together with kind of the castle to defend the castle and save their town. And it's just so funny, such a good time, and perfect for that time in the season. Next is Wayward by Amelia Hart. This is about witches. We are following this family of witches through 3 different generations, and I absolutely love that. This has a lot of dark subject matter, so just be prepared. But as far as like witchy, spooky, eerie, haunting, the atmosphere is so good too. I love so many aspects of this book, and I had an amazing time reading it, and I really love these characters. Next is Hamnet by Maggie O'Farrell. Now this is a story and kind of like a historical fiction retelling of Shakespeare and his family, and it's so interesting. We start off with the plague and her family going through with the plague and how they lose a family member and Hamnet, and it's just so sad, heart-wrenching. We're following his family after Shakespeare basically like abandoned them to go focus on his career in London, and it's so interesting and fascinating. I love it so much, and it's perfect for the autumn season. Next is a bit of a different one, and that is In the Dream House by Carmen Maria Machado. Now this is a commentary and story about abusive relationships. It's very dark and haunting. The way it's written, it is not super in your face, but it goes into just how dark and hard those kind of relationships can be, and I think it's a very important read. Has some really good representation here as well, and I highly recommend it. And I think just the subject matter and the atmosphere and the way that it's written is just perfect for the fall spooky time season. Now let's go into my home fall favorites and kind of how to set the ambiance, how to make everything feel nice and cozy and just romanticize your home a little bit. The first thing I'm going to say is ambiance videos. I'm obsessed with ambiance videos. I have them on all the time, and especially if you're sitting reading or doing crafts and things like that, just having it on in the background and with the fire crackling and things like that. They also have jazz ones, which are so nice and relaxing, but I just think that they lend so much to the atmosphere in your home and just pack a big punch and at no cost to you, so I love that. Let's talk about candles. Some of my favorite fall candles are by DW Candles. You can get these at HomeGoods, TJ Maxx. That's usually where I buy them, and they are a pretty decent price compared to many candles out there. I highly recommend going to Ross, TJ Maxx, Marshalls for candles, or for a lot of seasonal home decor, because typically the prices are pretty good, especially at Ross or like Burlington Coat Factory, for instance. The prices are amazing. But I love the Goblin's Goo DW candle. It's basically like caramel apples. It's not too sweet, but it's just enough. I love it so much. The next one is Wizard's Magic. This is so good. Another one that's kind of a really unique fall smell, just different than what you would typically see or reach for when it comes to like fall spooky season candles. This one is like blueberry and wild blackberry with like glazed fig, strawberries, and hint of pink raspberry. So it's kind of like sweet, but then you have like a little bit of carameliness from the glazed fig. It's so good. It smells amazing. And then next, of course, is Bath & Body Works. I feel like that's probably the second place that I buy most of the candles from. I know a lot of people don't like their candles. I totally understand. I love pumpkin carving. It's like the perfect pumpkin, cinnamony, sweet fall candle. It screams like Halloween fall. I love that so much. Next is White Pumpkin. Now this one does, this one is similar to pumpkin carving, but it's a little bit more dialed back. It feels a little bit more elevated and like grown up, if that makes sense. I love it. It doesn't, give me a headache or anything like that. It has a really good throw, but it's not too much. And I just love this candle so much. One of my all-time faves. And then next is Marshmallow Fireside. I'm sure you have probably tried this before. This is probably my favorite candle of all time, and it is just the perfect fall scent. You definitely get like that toasty, fiery smokiness like from the fireside element, but then the sweetness from the marshmallow. It's so good. It feels like fall. It screams fall, and it's just kind of like the same thing with the previous one. It never gives me a headache. It's never too strong. It's just like the perfect amount of scent, and I love it so much. So, Remy, how are you doing? I think that warm drinks, coffee, teas are so essential to the fall season, and with that, I love mugs. Over the past few years, I have done a lot better with buying mugs. I've kind of like cut myself off, but this year I did buy 2 new ones that I love, and I am so excited about them. I got this one from, Burlington? Yes, I got this one from Burlington Coat Factory, $4. I love this so much. It's got the little ghosty lid and the gravestone, and then the handle is a ghost too. I mean, it's so good. And then I have this one. I don't know if I'm gonna be drinking out of this. We'll see. It is square, but it's a haunted house. I got this at Ross. I think it was $5 maybe, and it has like the little haunted house topper. I just love it so much. I kind of love the mugs that you can set out and use as decor as well. I think that's just like a 2-in-1, and I love that aspect. But I highly recommend getting you a spooky mug. You don't have to spend a ton of money. It's one of those like low cost ways to like, oh my God, it's okay. I think it's one of those low cost ways to add a lot of ambiance and atmosphere just to like regular activities, like having your coffee in the morning or drinking a tea at night when you're reading a book. Next up is this cauldron diffuser. I got this at TJ Maxx or Marshalls. I can't remember. It was $16. I love it. It lights up orange, and then little smoke comes out of the top, and it's so good. It just looks like a smoking cauldron. I love it so much. It lends so much ambiance, adds a ton of light, and you can also, it is a diffuser, so you can put essential oils in here. I'm not an essential oil person personally, so I just use it for the smoky like look in the lights. So I love it so much. It packs a lot of punch for the price and has multiple uses too if you do like essential oils. So I'm so happy I found this. I will try to find something similar and link it below if I can. I have a couple more things for like home and ambiance. This is the Mrs. Meyer's Fall Leaves like multi-surface cleaner. I love this. It's kind of funny because every year I don't get this one because whenever I open it in the bottle, I'm like, I think it smells gross. But once you use it and you spray it, it smells so good. I love the scent. I also love the apple cider one. That's the one that I usually get, but they were sold out whenever I was at the store. So I went with Fall Leaves, and I'm happy I did. I really love this smell, and it's super fragrant, but not overpowering. And it's just a great one. especially when it comes to like budget friendly things or things that are more eco-friendly too. I mean, just getting pumpkins and squashes as your decor, you can't really beat that. And you know, then you can repurpose them and use them later, and I love that so much. I always try to get a few squashes, and then I usually end up using them and cooking at some point. So highly recommend that. It adds just such a natural organic element to your decor, and I really appreciate that. Also, coming off of pumpkins and like gourds and things like that to have around the house, mums. I mean, I think that we all know that mums are the fall plant, and if you're a plant girly like I am, I do usually get a mum each season just to watch and see it grow and thrive and flower. Growing up, it was always like not fall until we had the mums out, if you know what I mean. So I love mums, and you can usually find them for a pretty low cost. Also, just a tip, submerge them in water when you get them. They like to be super hydrated at first, and just check on them to make sure that they are watered. Let's talk about fall activities. Now, every single year I have to go to a haunted house. There's no way around it. I'm going. This year I think we're gonna go to 2, but I love being scared. There's nothing I love more, and I always have to go to a haunted house. This year we're going to a new one actually in a couple days called Frightmare Compound, and then we will be going back to another one that we absolutely love. If you're in the Denver area, go to Terror in the Corn at Anderson Farms. We've gone the past few years and we love it. And also with your ticket, you get entrance into their fall festival. So speaking of another thing, fall festival, corn mazes, you can't go wrong with that. I do try to always go to one each year, and that's why we love to go to Terror in the Corn, because it's like a twofer. You get a ticket to Corn Maze, Fall Festival, as well as the haunted house. I love a corn maze. I've loved them since I was a kid. One of those things where there's nothing else like it. You know, it's very unique, very much exclusive to fall, and I love it so much. And a very low cost, budget friendly option is leaf peeping. Now in Colorado, that's something huge around here, and I know there's lots of places in the country and across the globe with amazing leaves and leaf peeping. But you know, for the cost of a tank of gas, you can have a really amazing fun fall day and go see some beautiful trees. I absolutely love looking at the fall leaves. In Colorado, there's so many amazing places. I know that there's also the Colorado like Leadville Railroad, which I highly recommend. They do like a leaf peeping ride every year. You can also bring your dogs on, which is awesome. I've loved doing that in the past. And yeah, I mean, if you can make a day where you might have to drive, I don't know, a couple hours or something to really go see the leaves or get to like mountains or higher elevation or something, but you know, if you can make a day out of it, find somewhere to stop for lunch or have a picnic or something, or even go on a hike. I highly recommend a fall hike for sure. I always try to do a couple of hikes in the fall season just to have some time with nature in the fall crisp chill. There's nothing better, and highly recommend that, especially amazing for budget friendly options. Another one is bar or coffee hopping. And if you're in a city, you probably have multiple places that offer a spooky bar. I know a lot of places here in Denver will like either switch over during the Halloween season in the month of October, where they kind of change their menu up and have really spooky drinks and then decorate for Halloween. And then we also have some pop-up ones here as well. So I always try to go to like one of those every year. It is kind of expensive. Usually the drinks are very pricey, but they're very much for show. They're kind of fun, little spooky drinks, and I always enjoy doing that. And then in the same vein, there's coffee shops that have so many amazing fall drinks that are not just like your typical, you know, standard Starbucks, Dunkin', that kind of thing. Just go to local coffee shops, see what pumpkin spice or fall drinks that they have. I know that there's one place here in Denver that actually has like flights of coffee, so you can try different kinds of coffee, and they have one that's specifically like fall themed, which I love. I'm gonna have to like stop by there at some point. But you know, go get your coffee, sit down in the cozy shop, read a book, or even take your coffee out and sit under a fall tree, and pretty budget friendly too, which I love. Another thing I want to mention is trivia. Now, there's quite a few places around here that I know do horror movie trivia, and that's super fun. If you're a trivia girly, I absolutely love trivia. So, you know, keep that in mind. Maybe check around, see if any places are doing that specifically. It's a whole lot of fun. And typically you just go, you know, get a drink or whatever. So pretty low cost as well, and just something nice to do with your friends. I also recommend checking around to see if anyone is doing kind of like an outdoor or special like spooky movie night. I know some places around here do like horror movies outside, or like show like Halloween spooky movies, and some of them will have like little fire pits and things like that, and it's really cozy and fun. And this weekend I'm going to something new for me, and that is Halloween yoga. And one of the locations that is doing like a pop-up Halloween bar. During the day, they are doing some like limited yoga Halloween themed classes. So on Saturday, I'm gonna go do a Halloween themed yoga class. So I think that's really fun and different and unique. I love yoga, and I love whenever there's like these fun, unique events where you can like have some nice movement and it's not focused around like drinking or eating, that kind of thing. So I'm really excited to go do that. Let's talk movies and TV. Now, first off, I'm going to say something that some of you might think is a little bit weird, but look it up, watch it, and thank me later. I am absolutely obsessed with this, and that is watching videos of old commercials. And there are so many YouTube videos that are just compilations of old Halloween commercials. It's so comforting, so satisfying to watch, and I just love it so much. It's really nice to like put on before you go to bed and you're just like watching these old commercials. I don't know, there's something so nostalgic about it, and I highly recommend it. Now next is a new release, and that is A Haunting in Venice. I love this movie. We saw it last week in theaters, and I can't say enough about it. Was the mystery like the most shocking thing ever? No, but the atmosphere, it's so good. It is Venice in the like late 1940s, and it's Halloween night. We have kids in these weird old costumes. We have this strange shadow puppet show. We're in this old mansion that used to be like a hospital. It's supposed to be haunted, and then something happens to someone and they go, "Rrr." There's also a seance in here. So all the elements that you could want in a spooky Halloween atmosphere movie, this hits it, and I was so happy watching this. I was so satisfied. Definitely rent it or give it a go or go to the movies. I highly recommend it. This is one that I am pretty positive you can watch on YouTube. That's where I've watched it throughout the years. And that is Tower of Terror. Yes, the Disney movie. And this, I don't know why this isn't anywhere. I don't think it's on Disney Plus. I don't know if there's something wrong with it. I'm not sure, but we have Kirsten Dunst, which is amazing. Basically, we have a story of this child star who was performing at this hotel. Her family was staying there on Halloween night, and something happens to her, and we're trying to figure out what actually happened. It's present day. We have Kirsten Dunst and her dad, who's like a ghost hunter kind of person, and the atmosphere is so good. I love this old hotel. There's so many like cozy, spooky, nostalgic feels about this. The twist is actually pretty good. It also has Jan from The Office in it, and I can't remember what else the guy is in. He's the dad from It Takes Two, I think. And I love this movie, and I highly recommend it. It's perfect for like the spooky, cozy fall feels. Now next is the most perfect campy horror movie in the history of Earth. It might be the height of camp, and I love it so much, and that is Death Becomes Her. Now we got Meryl Streep, we got Goldie Hawn, we got, what's his name? Not Mel Gibson. Ugh. We got Bruce Willis. It's just all of these dynamite actors in this campy, funny horror comedy of these women going after each other. One stole their man, and it's so funny. It's so good. The spooky aspects are there, and if you haven't seen this, you have to watch this. This is like one of the best movies ever made, truly. Now I'm trying to like talk about ones that aren't normally on people's list that you might not have thought of or heard of. And next I want to talk about Rose Red. Now this was a made for TV miniseries, but it is based off of a Stephen King novel. It's about a haunting. Now, is the show the best thing ever made? No, but gosh, it is so good. I love the spooky atmosphere of it. I love the house, and just for the haunted house alone, amazing. And this hasn't been available anywhere for years, like literal years. I've looked so many times to rewatch this. I think I did actually rent it at some point or something, but I did see that it's coming available on Hulu in October, so give it a watch, please. It's so good. It's kind of like cheesy in a way and cliche a little bit, but it's so perfect for Halloween. Next is The Watcher in the Woods. Now this is an old Disney movie. Disney used to do these like weird horror, like family horror movies. I don't know, but this definitely is a little bit spooky, and I love it so much. The atmosphere is there. It has this family, and they've kind of moved to this house in the woods, and there's like some occult strange goings on, and I love it so much. If you've never watched this, please give it a watch. It is definitely different, and it has Betty Davis in it and Kyle Richards. I mean, I think we all know that she was a child star at one point, but I love this movie. It is very nostalgic to me, and I highly recommend it for something new and different to watch for spooky season. Next is The People Under the Stairs. This is a Wes Craven early 90s comedy horror, and essentially we have this kid who breaks into his parents' like landlord's home, and in there he discovers just something really sinister and wild, and something strange going on, and he can't get out. It's so campy, so weird. And this is another one that's very nostalgic for me. I remember watching it when I was a kid, and I feel like not many people at all have seen this. I'm not really even sure where you can watch it, maybe on Peacock, I think, but I am definitely going to be watching it this spooky season. I haven't watched it in a few years, so I'm definitely going to give it a go. And then I want to talk about Clue. Now, Clue is just a funny, spooky time based off the board game, of course, and it's so funny. It's just a really funny fall movie with a little bit of mystery in there. Highly recommend it. Next is The Witch. If you haven't watched The Witch, you're missing out. It's an amazing horror film. Atmosphere and just the eeriness and just like the sense of dread that this movie gives you. It's so good, so good. You have to watch this if you haven't watched it already, or if you have, you probably know. It's perfect for fall. So highly recommend, give this a watch. The next one I'm gonna say, now don't come at me, don't close out this video because I'm saying this, and that is The Village. Now, I love this movie. I think that when it came out, I did not like it. I mean, I was younger, of course, but I feel like everyone was really crapping on this movie. But it also was after, you know, I think both Signs and Sixth Sense, and people were just kind of like, this isn't as good. But anyway, but how can you really compare to The Sixth Sense? It's like one of the best movies ever made, but I love The Village. Atmosphere, like a puritanical village, yes, amazing. The suspense is there. Something creepy lurking in the woods, grabbing people, yes. The twist is great. I'm sorry, I really like this movie, and if you haven't seen it in a long time, I highly recommend you go give it another shot. I love it. Another weird fantasy Disney movie is Bedknobs and Broomsticks. I absolutely love this movie growing up, and growing up we watched a lot of old stuff. I don't know why, but we did. I love it. We have this witchy lady who is watching over these kids during the war because they had to leave the city, and and they're like, we think she's a witch, and it's so funny. They use like this bed as like a conduit to do a spell, and you sit on the bed and you can go to different places and it'll take you to different places. It's so fun, whimsical, silly. I love it so much, and I highly recommend it if you haven't seen it. It's just like the perfect cozy spooky witchy movie. Next is kind of like a duo. I'm mashing them together, but that's Young Frankenstein and Haunted Honeymoon. Now, I feel like no one's heard of Haunted Honeymoon, but that's okay. But of course, Young Frankenstein is just like a comedy retelling of kind of the Frankenstein story. And then with Gene Wilder, and then we also have Gene Wilder in Haunted Honeymoon. And we have Gilda Radner as well, RIP, but it was kind of like a cast of all like SNL people from that time. And it's very funny. We go to this haunted house. They're there for like Halloween. Someone shows up dead. We think there might be like a werewolf. We don't know what's going on, but it's so funny. And I just love the atmosphere of this. It's perfect for spooky season, and I highly recommend it. I don't think many people have seen this, so please give it a watch. I love it so much. And finally, I'm going to talk about Fantastic Mr. Fox. Now, this is the perfect fall movie. I love how whimsical it is, and the color scheme, and just the foxes and apple cider, and like so many elements to it that are so cozy. And if you haven't seen it, you have to see it. And if you have seen it, you need to watch it again. It's just, there's nothing better than it. And I absolutely love how it's made, the stop motion, and it just makes me happy. Next category is crafts. Now, I have been getting more into crafts, especially like listening to audiobooks and doing something fun with my hands. So I am loving that lately, especially coloring. And I do recommend Creative Haven. Their coloring books are amazing. I have this one, Autumn Harvest, that I just got. These all are like single-sided, so if your marker bleeds through or anything, it's fine. I love that about it. And then I also got this witchcraft one. Oh, it's so cute. There's so many really cute ones in this one. I love this one. It's probably my favorite. I just colored this fall witchy cottage, and I just highly recommend these coloring books specifically, but also these are about $5 a piece, like on Amazon and Walmart. I got these from Walmart, I want to say, but can't recommend these enough. Next is puzzles. I'm a huge puzzle person. How you like are thinking, but you aren't thinking too hard, if that makes sense. It's very easy on the brain. I just got this one for fall spooky season, and it's the Trick or Treat Hotel by Buffalo Games. I mean, I saw this and I was like, I have to have it. And it was only like 12 or 13 bucks on Amazon, I think, like a steal of a deal. Got little ghosties and this weird old hotel. I love it so much. Can't wait to do this. I like 500 piece puzzles as well as 1,000 piece puzzles. That's like my happy medium area. And I can't wait to give this one a go. But I feel like there's nothing cozier than doing a puzzle and listening to a book with your ambiance video on. It's just like, it's so nice. Now this isn't really crafts, but baking, or in that or like cooking and baking. Of course, baking is an amazing craft to do in the fall. I am looking forward to trying to make some things. Now, I have never really baked. I'm usually like, I'll buy a box mix, I'll decorate it kind of thing. I also love the like spooky house, like gingerbread houses. They have them all over the place and they typically are vegan, which is really exciting. Just check the ingredients, but I love doing those as well. Highly recommend for the spooky season, especially if you have kids, they love that. But like put on a cozy spooky movie and doing one of those like haunted spooky gingerbread houses, it's the best. Another thing is soup. There's something more fall than soup and chili. Now Drew makes a chili in the family. He's a chili guy. I make soup. For fall, I love a potato soup. I make a lot of potato soup, as well as like a broccoli and cheese is really good. Just nice and cozy, as well as making like vegan grilled cheese and tomato soup. I mean, you can't beat it. So I love spending a night listening to my audiobook and cooking, especially when it's making soup, because it's a lot of chopping and like kind of easy. I love that aspect. Now, another thing is painting. Now, I'm sure you've seen the trend of going to Goodwill and buying a old picture there and then painting little ghosties on it. I actually did do that myself and it's hanging in my bathroom. It's really fun. And that's a super low cost way to have like a fun craft night, especially with like a lot of girlfriends. If you can find like the right paintings to paint on, highly recommend. Another thing is candle making. You can buy kits on Amazon, things like that. It's so fun. And it's also great because you can even use those later as gifts, like during the Christmas season or something, and it's like a 2-in-1. You have a craft night, but then you could also have like gifts to give away. So I love that about candles, and it's really fun to like make your own. If you've never done it before, you should definitely give it a try. There is a bit of a learning curve, but you know, it's part of learning and trying something new, especially when it comes to crafts. So highly recommend. Go into snacks and drinks. Now with drinks, I love apple cider. That's my favorite drink ever, and I feel like that's pretty obvious. The cider at the store doesn't quite hit the same. It's definitely one of those things that I feel like it's better if you get it like out at a fall festival or at a place that has been fresh pressed. Next is the GT's kombucha, the Living with Gratitude flavor. It's their fall special flavor. They bring it back every year. I freaking love this. It has the perfect amount of spice and appleiness, a little bit of like pumpkin spice to it too. I love it and highly recommend it if you're a kombucha fan. And even if you're not, I think you might still like it. It's so good. I also absolutely love the Waterloo spiced apple seltzer. It sounds weird, like a sparkling water with a spiced apple flavor. I know it sounds strange, but it's so good. Last year, whenever I first discovered it, I think it was the first year that they had it, but I had on a whim got a case of it, and then I loved it so much that I went back to Target and bought like 8 more cases. I spent like $50 on seltzer water. It was really stupid, but I had seltzer water through like February, so so it's probably even longer than that, honestly, but it was still worth it. I loved it so much. When I went to Target the last time, they only had 1 case left. I got it, but I love it so much. Highly recommend. They also have a cranberry one that's great for the winter season. Now, as far as coffee creamer goes, I have never found a pumpkin spice creamer that I love. The Silk one is okay, but it is a little bit too like sweet and sharp for me. Like it has a little bit of like too much of a gingery note, if that makes sense. But I do like the maple brown sugar one from Silk. It's nice, perfect for fall, not too, doesn't have any like strange like spicy flavor to it really. I love it. It's so good. I also recommend going to like TJ Maxx or Ross or Marshall's and look in their food section. They always have really fun items, especially for fall. Really fun fall shaped noodles and pasta and really good like syrups for your coffee at a low cost. It's way cheaper than buying it regularly at the store, which I highly recommend. So they also tend to have like some fun spaghetti sauces, like pumpkin kind of sauces, as well as soups. So I would definitely check out those places and just look in the food section to see if you can find anything fun. Sometimes they have really good items. Bernie & Sons hot cinnamon tea is the best. It is my favorite tea of all time. It is very cinnamony. It tastes like there's sugar in it, but it's not. It's just sweet on its own, and it's so good. It is in your face cinnamon, so if you don't like cinnamon, you will not like it, but oh my gosh, it's so good, especially like with a little milk in there. So cozy, perfect for fall and into like Christmas season. I did see that they also released like a special Haunting in Venice tea. It says that it's a black tea with pumpkin, ginger, maple, ginger pieces, vanilla flavor, and cinnamon flavor. That sounds so good. I'm gonna have to buy that. Now here are a couple just random healthy items that are just good on their own. I'm gonna talk about sweet potatoes. I love the sweet potatoes, the tiny ones from Trader Joe's. You get them in a bag. They're small, easy to bake. Love them so much. Just with some cinnamon and plant-based butter. You can't beat it. And screams fall to me. And the other item is pears. Can we talk about pears? Why does no one talk about pears? I think pears are so underrated. They are the best fruit out there, and fall is their season. They are for August through October pretty much. That's when they are in season, and oh my gosh, there's nothing better than a ripe pear. And that Trader Joe's typically has the best deals on pears. I got a bag there a couple weeks ago. I think it was like a 3-pound bag for $3. Like, it was a crazy deal. So highly recommend. Eat yourself a pear this fall, or also like you could sprinkle cinnamon on it or bake it in the oven. Oh, they're so good, so good. They're just like a little bit sweeter and more indulgent than an apple. So I don't know, I love them so much, and everyone just needs to get on the pear train. That's what I'm saying. Next, I'm going to talk about cinnamon rolls. Now, the Trader Joe's cinnamon rolls are vegan on their own, as well as like the Annie's ones. I think there's another one too. Just check the ingredients, but cinnamon rolls probably are one of my favorite desserts ever. I love cinnamon. Can you tell? I'm a big cinnamon person. But cinnamon rolls, you can't beat it. They're so cozy and comforting. I love them so much, and definitely one of my favorite treats to have during the fall. And I also want to talk about Nature's Path pumpkin spice waffles. These are actually really good. They are vegan, and I don't know if they're back this year, but they should be. I feel like they have them every single year, and I highly recommend them. Super easy, super tasty treat. And then I want to talk about Abe's. Now, Abe's is a company that all of their products are very allergen friendly and accidentally vegan in that way. So I highly recommend. I have taken multiple of their items to different events and get-togethers. People are always like complimenting them. They're like, what are these? Where'd you get them? I do only see them at Whole Foods typically. They might be at Sprouts as well, but I always get them at Whole Foods. The coffee cake is the best thing ever. And coffee cake screams fall to me. I don't know why, but I love it so much. They also have pound cakes. They have a pumpkin one, which I haven't tried, but I have had the ginger spice one. I really like it. And then I saw that they have a seasonal apple cider muffin. Haven't tried these either, but I have to go track these down. I need these. I'm so excited about it, as well as like the pumpkin spice. These are good as well. They taste similar to like the pound cake one, but I love these. Also, if you have like kids and they need to take a treat or something to school, highly recommend these. They're so good. I want to talk about makeup and beauty products and Bath & Body. Now, first off, I want to go into eyeshadow palettes. My favorite for fall for sure is the Orangey Glad palette from ColourPop. This is amazing. It's perfect for fall. I love all of the orange shades in this. I've used them all, and I am a huge fan, especially the like sparkly one. Next is the e.l.f. Bite Size palette in the color palette Pumpkin Pie. This is so good, perfect for fall, great for travel on the go, and it's just perfect to create that kind of what I call a pumpkin spice latte look. It has a really good warm orangey color as well as a brown, and then the shimmer shades to go with it. So good, and highly recommend it. Next is the ColourPop Back to Hogwarts palette. This has basically any shade you would need for a fall look. You have a forest green, you have a maroon, you have the golds, you have rust colors, as well as like orange and navy blues, as well as you know, the black and things like that. So you can create so many looks with this. It's just perfect for fall. I think pretty much any fall look that you could want, you could probably make with this one. Next is the e.l.f. Putty Blush, specifically the shades Turks and Caicos and Fiji. I have Fiji on today. I just love how rich these colors are, and they do lean more orangey, and then Fiji actually leans almost a little bit red, which I like too. I think they're just perfect for fall and give the perfect warm touch to your cheeks. Next is one of my favorite lip products, and that's the Hydrating Core Lip Shines from e.l.f. I specifically love the shades Ecstatic and Cheery for fall. One's a little bit orangey and one's like a dark berry color. They are very sheer but hydrating at the same time, and I just love how they feel on the lips, and they do give a good amount of color for being more of like a balmy kind of feel, so highly recommend. Next are like my favorite lip products of all time. I know Lime Crime isn't very popular anymore. They do still have some of their velveteens, and I do tend to apply them over lip balm so that they're not like super matte, or at least like top them with like a lip gloss or something, just to make them more like hydrating. But I have a few shades from them that I absolutely love and highly recommend. The first one being the shade that I'm wearing today, and that is Pumpkin. This is like kind of like a orangey brick red, perfect for fall, screams fall to me, very easily wearable as well, and I love it so much. The next one is probably one of my top lipsticks ever, probably my top 3. That is Beat It. Now on here it definitely looks a little bit more purpley, but it is a dark berry, and it very much looks like beet color, but it gives off like this purpley berry look that speaks like spooky season to me. I don't know how else to describe it, but I love it so much. I am obsessed with this color and shade, one of my all-time faves. Then if you're looking for a black lipstick, this is it. This is by far the best black lipstick I've ever used. It stays put, it doesn't go anywhere, it doesn't flake. I just can't recommend it enough if you've been on the market for a black lipstick. I love it. It is the best one I've tried, and I highly recommend. I highly recommend the Velveteens overall. I have so many shades of them, and I love them. They've all been great, and they wear pretty easily. They are a little bit drying. They are matte lipsticks, that's just how those go. But I do like to put the lip balm on first, then apply them over that. Sometimes I'll even just do like a couple of dots and then spread it with my finger, and that gives a more of a soft touch, kind of plushy look to them. Next is a lotion, and that is the Hemp's seasonal pumpkin spice vanilla chai lotion. I love this. It's so good. I also just love Hemp's lotion, period. I find myself always going back to their brand. Very moisturizing. It rubs in easily, and the smells are always really good. And I love this one for the season. Highly recommend it. And it's just a nice, sweet, cozy scent. Next is a perfume, and this one is definitely budget friendly. It's from Dossier, and it is the Le Labo Santal 33 dupe. It's their woody sandalwood scent. I love this. I have had Santal 33 in the past. It smells just like it. The staying power isn't as long, but compared to the price, it's so good. It smells like fall. It gives off that really earthy feel to it. I love it so much. It's very good for unisex as well. I can't recommend it enough, and for the price you really can't beat it for a perfume of this quality, and just especially one that smells so much like such a high-end scent. Next is a face mask from Bliss, and it's the Pumpkin Powerhouse face mask. I just love the pumpkin aspect where you can put a mask on your face and it still feels like fall. This one is resurfacing. It's kind of like a dupe for the Peter Thomas Roth one, but this one's vegan and cruelty free, so I love that. I just love to add a face mask that is nice and fall themed into my self-care routine. Now, a few products from Lush. I absolutely love the Ghost in the Dark soap. It smells amazing, nice and citrusy, and it glows in the dark, which is super fun. And they also have a Mr. Pumpkin Face mask this year that's a pumpkin mask as well. So I haven't tried that, so maybe I will have to go give that a go. Okay, the final category is music, and here I have a few options. I'm gonna try to speed through these because I know this video is so long already. I'm gonna start with the album Don't You by Wet. This is very dark and eerie and longing. It's just a sad girl album, and I love it so much, and I highly recommend it. It screams fall to me. Next is the new release by Hot Mulligan called Why Would I Watch. This is amazing for the elder emos. It feels very like the Wonder Years, but also really revamped, and the lyrics are great. Those songs are dark and sad. I just love it so much, and if you are into that kind of music, I highly recommend. It's probably gonna be one of my favorite albums of the year. Now, next is the new release from the Japanese house, and that is In the End It Always Does. This album is so good. I am a huge fan of the Japanese house since the beginning. Since the first single, I am obsessed, and I just think that they can do no wrong, honestly. The way that her voice reverberates and just echoes off of itself, and the cozy, haunting aspects of it, oh, it's so good, highly recommend. Next is a band that have 2 songs out, but they've totally blown up and have my favorite song of the year. It's called The Last Dinner Party. They are just cool. They are the coolest girls I've ever seen. They dress up really fun, and with their shows they always have a fun theme to them for people to dress up as. I love that. But Nothing Matters is my favorite song of the year. It's an amazing song. You have to go listen to it. It's so good. It screams like fall spooky lady. I haven't seen a band blow up like this since Haim when they first came out, so it's really impressive. I highly recommend. If you haven't listened to them yet, you're welcome. This song is the best. Next up is a song that's not available anywhere because it was done by these young girls when they were teenagers, and now they're grown up and it's just not around, but it came out in the 90s, and that is Glass Vase Cello Case by Tattletale. This song is so good. Have you ever watched But I'm a Cheerleader? If you have, then you probably know the song. It is in that movie. You can listen to it on YouTube. It's phenomenal. It's eerie and dark, but uplifting, but also haunting, and it's so good. You have to go listen to this song. It screams fall, spooky time, and just makes my heart flutter and soar. Next is Goth Babe. I absolutely love a lot of his music, and it's very indie rock meets chill wave, and it's just perfect for a relaxing time. Definitely unique in what it's doing. I recommend it if you haven't listened to it yet. Next, I want to talk about New Order. Yes, the classic. New Order to me screams fall, just like this dark wave of synth pop in the 80s. There's nothing better. I also like New Order's new stuff too. I just don't really think that they can do any wrong, but there's something about some of their older music that just screams spooky time, and I love it so much. I highly recommend. It gets me amped up, pumped up. I love it so much. Next is Sky Ferreira's Nighttime My Time. When this came out, I truly believe that it kind of saved indie pop. I love this so much, and I wish she would bring us back with a new album. I know she's had issues with like a record label kind of thing, and taking control of, you know, her IP, which sucks, but I highly recommend this. It's very poppy, vibey, synthy. It screams like mid 2015, 2016. There's just something about it that I love so much, and I highly recommend it if you're like into like some girly pop stuff, but with a little bit of edge to it. The next album I want to recommend is Soul Present by Q. If you are a fan of Prince, I would highly recommend this. I think this artist is amazing, very unique and different, and is kind of bringing in like a jazzy, poppy, synthy element into like R&B in a way that I absolutely love. I love his voice. I can't recommend this album enough. It's a really good one and probably one of my favorites of the year. Next is the Aces' new album, I've Loved You For So Long. This is such a good indie pop record with amazing lyrics and really just some bops in here, but the lyrics can sometimes be serious and about longing and heartbreak and all of these different facets. But this group of ladies are just so cool. They seem awesome, and I love all their music, but this album is their new release and I am a huge fan. I highly recommend it. And the lyrics, the heartbreak, there's so much going on here that I love, and I highly recommend it if you haven't listened to it. Next is a very popular one, and that is the new album by Labyrinth called Ends and Begins. Now this is like a synthy R&B pop dream. I don't know how else to say it, but I think that Labyrinth is really cool because they hit so many different genres with what they do, and with this one I feel like there is a lot of dark, eerie atmosphere going on here that which lends itself so well to the season, and I just highly recommend it. Especially if you haven't listened to it, you should. It is so good, phenomenal, and I hope that he like wins a Grammy or something for this. Okay friends, did you stick with me? I know this was a long one. I got so excited about making this video that I just like kept coming up with stuff, and I'm sorry if it was like super long, but I just wanted to talk about these things with you, and I hope you found some good ideas and inspo for the fall spooky season, as well as some good recommendations. If you have any fall faves or things that you love to do or movies that you love, please put them below. I would love to chat and see what you do every year or what inspires you in this fall season. Also, if you have any like vegan recipes or vegan snacks or anything like that that are good for fall, please let me know. I'm always looking for new ones. But thank you so much for watching, especially if you made it this far. You are amazing and I appreciate you. I am new to YouTube, and if you're interested in any like bookish content or just like cozy content like this and favorites, please subscribe. And if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. I hope that you have the best fall season that you've had yet, and I hope it's really cozy and wholesome and scary, but in the best way, scary in the good way, you know what I mean? But again, thank you so much, and I hope you have a lovely spooky day.